Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's resume our complete beginner's guide to Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup with our second character in the playlist, a gargoyle hunter of Okawaru, a ranged expert. And now that we've got all our awesome stuff online with Okawaru, it's time to go back and start finishing up some of the content before Dungeon 12, or deeper than Dungeon 12, I suppose, like the Orcish Mines, and even some of the enemies that we've left behind and not killed on Dungeon 8 and elsewhere, as well as the lair. Now, I do want to point out that we haven't looked at Duel yet. Now, you'll see that Duel has a 30% failure rate, costs 7 magic points and some piety, so that is an incentive for us to continue leveling up invocations a bit. But let's take a gander at this. Enters you into a single combat with a worthy foe. On success, you and the challenged foe will be transported to Okawaru's arena to fight to the death with no escape until you either emerge victorious and are slain. It takes a large amount of piety, and you know, it is hard for us to do. And I don't know, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I have not used this ability before. I haven't played Okawaru extensively since this has been added, because I've been working on doing other types of characters a lot, like casters and stuff like that. So I haven't really done this. And I don't know, like, hopefully you don't start adjacent in the arena, but that would be a concern of mine. And I think the only time I would want to use this is if I was in a terrible situation where I needed to kill something that was maybe in the back, and I needed to kill it quickly. So you could snipe out something that was, you know, a major threat that was surrounded by summons or blocked off, or you just needed to kill it and then you could take out everything else. Maybe. So we could experiment with it, but it's such a high fail rate, and I don't really want to push evocation super high, so I honestly don't know how much I'll use that ability. And with this character, heroism and finesse are just so strong that I don't know if we need to, unless, you know, we're in a dire circumstance. But it's a nice, you know, kind of ace to have in the hole, as it were. All right, we're on Dungeon 11, and I am going to go up to Dungeon 10 and explore a bit. All right. Now the question would be, where's the warlord? You know, where's that Orcish warlord, right? Is he right by the steps? Probably. So if he is, we got to be ready for that. And I'm fine. I'm going to go ahead and use heroism, and I'm going to go down, and he is right here, of course, and we're going to go up. And he's already smacking us. So given that, we have to kill this guy to get access, right, to deeper within the Orcish Mines. And how do we want to do this? Well, of course, I could enter into single combat with him, and get rid of him. And if that would put me at range, that would be pretty phenomenal. I don't think I have that luxury. I think I just have to burn a scroll of teleport here. And I don't like to do this because I'm so low, but I can't run away from this guy. And he's got a buffed ally, and so it's just bad. And he's already, look, he's already smacking me like really, really hard as this happens. So we need to just kind of get away, and we did. And we'll just rest. Okay. And we teleported on the other side of the map, and he's over here somewhere. So we need to just kind of walk back and find him, hopefully without his buddy to buff, and hopefully from a long distance away. So we're going to kind of, I'm going to take this long passageway along the top of the map, go down, because the only way he could get from here is to go out through this area. He might have gone in here, but hopefully not. And we're just going to be trying to find this dude. And turn on heroism and turn on finesse. I am going to just peek in here, make sure he's not in there. He's not. And then we'll just kind of go around here. Uh-huh. Just make sure we have some good range on the dude. Alright. And let's see, where are you, buddy? Okay, there he is. So he's definitely seen us. So I'm just going to back up. And I'm going to use heroism and I'm going to use finesse. And now the other guy is coming on, which is not ideal. But I'm just going to try to fire at the warlord as much as I can before he gets to me. And even with him adjacent, all right, I got to back him up. I need to fire. We should be able to kill him, but God, he's being such a jerk. Alright, I'm going to use my wand of acid and fire through both of them. And we missed this guy, which is just ridiculous. I'm going to do it again. Alright, there we go. Acid is going to take him down, and it did. So now we're level 13, and we can fire at this guy and finish him off. He's no problem, even though he's buffed. With heroism and finesse, it's not a big deal, and we did it. Alright, so what did this guy have? Did he have anything good? He just regular plate armor. Nothing outrageous. Fine. Fine. Okay. So I had to use way more consumables than I wanted to, but sometimes you have to do that to be able to guarantee access. I'm going to use heroism preemptively because there's a warrior. That's it, though. I just wasn't sure what was going to be waiting for me here. Okay, hand axe of electrocution. Now that's a good brand. And we'll just kind of start tab shooting everything around here and blowing it away. That guy actually had a annoying... Now look at us go, right? This is what you're talking about. Yeah, he had boomerangs of dispersal. That's what the game stopped to tell me about. Flail of venom. Okay. Oh, and there's more enemies down here than I want. So I'm going to kind of move over here, and I'm going to use heroism. And we're just going to fire through to try to hit the priest if we can. And he smited us, but it's fine. Okay, rest up. Heroism gone, no problem. And this is another reason why the orcish mines are so great. We've always talked about this. They give you a lot of gold. So, you know, we're already at 400 gold pieces. So that manual of fighting is right around the corner. And given the fact that the manual of fighting is quote-unquote right around the corner, I'm going to turn off fighting and save up for when we need the manual. And I'm just going to... I'm going to get invocations maybe to 10 and stop. And we're just going to keep focusing on ranged weapons, of course. If you look at ourselves, by the way, it's always fun to check in. The base delay with this longbow is 1.7, and our current delay is 1.4. So we actually now are faster, even though we have a delay of 0.5 from our armor. But it ends up being okay because... heroism and finesse, I mean, for the really bad situations. And we're just going to blast this big guy. Ogres don't like being hit from range. They have no armor. Now, you'll see inside this, you know, vault, which we're never going to go in, there's some incredibly difficult enemies. You know, like we'd want to fight a ghost, a crystal guardian, an orc warlord with a tower shield, just all in a confined space as a ranged character. It's just, it's funny to look at. Okay, this is actually really hard. This is a Cyclops. So the Cyclops can blast us, and because of that, I am going to even use finesse on this guy, even though he only rates as yellow, because if he hits us too hard with rocks, it could end our day. Oh, God. Okay, so here's Arolka. Now, Arolka is hard because she can banish, right? So one thing we can try to do is see how far I can get my File of Floods to go. I'm going to hit her with it. And she is engulfed. Okay, so the File of Floods is something that can engulf people. She's waterlogged, okay? And hopefully that will prevent her from casting her spells, but I'm not entirely sure. God, I hope so. Alright, and we're just going to fire at her and pray that she dies before she banishes us, and she did. It was a 40% chance, which is like higher than you'd want, but not so bad. And we're going fast and just shooting for so much damage. And I think that we engulfed her, unless they changed the way engulf works. Some characters don't need to use their voice to cast spells, so therefore engulfing them by like putting water in their mouth basically doesn't prevent them from casting. But I always like to do that to try to shut down casters. Now, hey, look at this. In a situation like this, I'm going to have fun. And I'm going to read Immolation. And I'm going to say yes. And we're going to fire at this dude. At this dude. Well, we picked a real bad time to miss. I was trying to have some fun, but I didn't think that I would just miss these guys and not kill them. So, because of that, how do I want to play this? I think I just walk away and let the immolation wear off, unfortunately. It's not great, but I'm going to use heroism so that they can't hit me as hard if they do catch up to me and get free strikes. And this is a dead end, which is, like, not ideal at all. But if I have to teleport or blink, I'll do it. That's what I get for trying to be cute. And it's also why I don't use immolation that much. Okay. Yeah, they're just smiting you. And smite, even though we're really powerful, is such a problem because it doesn't, our armor is not in play. I'm going to have to use teleport. I hate this. Okay. So we teleported out, and we're just going to rest over here. And now their immolation is off, and we can just go fight them normally. Now we're hitting everything in one shot, right? Like, when we needed it, we couldn't hit. Now we are. All right, fine. Lesson of the day. Don't use immolation. Don't try to show off. When you try to style in crawl, that's when the bad stuff happens. I am going to finesse, and we're going to shoot this guy. I don't know what buffed all these guys. Did that warlord, like, buff all these dudes before he died? It feels like that's the case. Alright, I'm going to use this choke point to fight them. But remember, we have finesse, so we're shooting so quickly. Yeah, but this guy is still hitting us hard because he's buffed. That's the deal. Buffed enemies are no joke. I'm going to walk back here and just rest. And explore. And what do we see? Just a bunch of skeletons. Sure. Alright. Well, that was a dicey... Look at this. Cool stone wall. That was a dicey Orc 1, but we got it. And now the question is, do we want to do Orc 2, or should we go to the lair? You know? Good question. I'm going to... all I have is blink. Let's look for... There's a scroll of teleportation in there, so let's go get it, right? Wrong. Okay. So we need some more. We'll get some more. All right. I think I'm going to poke my head down into Orc 2, maybe. But I'm definitely going to leave at the first sign of difficulty. Okay, I'm back after a bit of a break, and I'm really scared about going to Orcish Mines too, because really bad things can happen, but I feel okay taking one peek. And I have my finger on the escape hatch. As long as everything goes okay, I can explore, but if anything looks bad, you know, more than one red creature on the screen at once or something like that, I'm gone. Now, what we do see is a shop right away, and remember the Orcish Mines, you can see there are only 2 floors. The bottom floor always has shops. I think it's at least 4 guaranteed, sometimes more, and they are usually located within the vault that all of the enemies are protecting, but sometimes you can find them scattered about like this. Now, this looks like a shop. It could be a shop mimic, which is another entity altogether, but I'm going to just walk up and see if this is an actual shop, and it looks to be. So, what do we find in this shop? Some unbelievably awesome stuff, but we can't really afford it. The Wand of Acid would be super great to add to our arsenal, but it's too expensive. I can't spend that much money. And digging is also a very useful wand, but it's not something I'm, you know, falling over myself to spend 700 gold on when I need to buy those manuals instead. So unfortunately the wand shop didn't have something directly usable. I would have loved something that did cold damage to slow hydras in the lair, but let's see what else we've got here. I don't have any mapping scrolls, so I kind of have to just look around. And here's another shop. It's an antique shop. Here comes a troll. So I'm not going to go into a shop and, you know, rush to go shopping right now. I'm going to make sure that we're safe first. Luckily, we can see pretty well from around this shop, and let's see what's inside here. Oh dear. Well. How about this? There's some really amazing stuff here. There's artifact plate and an artifact herbalist. That's blowing me away. And then there's a scroll of identify. Now you'll see, like, the antique shop is a weird place where they sometimes charge exorbitant prices for different items, but they can sell you unidentified stuff at an amazing discount. So I'm going to actually just look at the herbalist. This is an even slower weapon than our longbow. So the amazing thing about a longbow is that it is slow and does a bunch of damage. This actually does more than it. It's like a big slow crossbow basically. Now, if we were going to be using this, we'd actually fire it at 1.6 delay, and our damage rating would be 34 with it. This is the dream of the new ranged makeover, where I'm somehow good with a crossbow because all ranged weapons fall under the same skill umbrella, and that's just so nice. So let's think about this. 34 damage rating. Let's look at our current weapon. It's a 28 damage rating. Now, it does have fire on it, but I think it's well worth buying this crossbow to see if it's good. It could be a waste of 300 gold, but we're in the Orcish Mines. We're going to get more gold. I'm going to definitely put this plate armor on our shopping list. Nothing else here is... maybe the amulet is, like, really tempting. Unfortunately, we live in a space where I don't have boots and I don't have a helmet, but they're not selling any here, so I'm just going to buy this right now. Now, you don't have to buy something like this when you see it, but I think the opportunity cost is worth it. A manual is good. I mean, they're actually great, but they are kind of slow burn, and right now I'd like a spike in my power if possible. So, yeah. How about that? This herbalist is amazing, except for the minus to will. Our will is already bad. I don't know if you can go below 0 with the way that they've overhauled will. Let's just check it. But at the end of the day, this is an amazing weapon that we're going to use, even if it makes us more susceptible to hexing than we already are. We'll just look out for items that will help us with will if we need it, or even switch away to the longbow in an emergency. But look at this thing. It's +9. Right away, it's giving me +5 to hit and +5 damage. It poisons, okay, which is just tremendous. You can poison so many things, hydras included, and it gives us 3 dexterity, which is our primary stat. Resist poison does nothing for us because we're immune, but overall, this is ridiculous. You'll see the damage rating with all of the calculations now is 43. So, sweet fancy Moses, and this is what you're looking for as a ranged character, some kind of ridiculous upgrade to your damage dealing source. So I'm going to go ahead and wield this. And yeah, my will does not go below 0, so it's not negative. So that's good. Some of your resistances can actually go below 0. And you'll see, like, for resist fire, instead of a plus, meaning you have a pip, you'll see a minus, and it turns red, I think, which means, like, you are vulnerable. You take extra damage against fire. Which is horrible, but this just means that we're really easy to trick, but we do 1,000,000 damage. So this is a huge upgrade for our character. We are just absolutely over the moon about it. Alright, so we're just going to kind of just, you know, one-shot everything right there. Okawaru has given us some javelins, so we'll pick those up and be happy about it. And let's get gold. Okay, so this is what you're talking about with being scared of Orc 2, which is putting some kind of priest that's going to summon stuff in a position like this. Our File of Floods is offline still, so I'm going to take a few shots in here and see if we can kill, but actually, nah, I need to get away. Let's just run. Okay, so we're going to be getting smited by the priest. I'll see if I can blast through. Yeah, we killed him. So we just do so much damage. By the way, look at this warg. He's like got 2 stacks of poison on him, so we can just walk away from him. Well, no, we can't. Kiting is still a little bit trickier. The warg is something that just will hit you hard. All animals in this game I find to be very challenging. You know, they just do so much damage. They don't have good armor generally, but they tend to be able to just get through your armor and hit you very easily, at least with the kind of tanky builds I like to play. Alright. Like, I feel like, you know, griffins, things like this, they just hit above their weight class. Alright. So I'm just kind of pushing tab, and we're just blowing stuff up. Like, this guy hit us hard, but he's going to die to poison in 1 second, just like that. We can just walk away from him. And this is the beauty of a venom weapon. We are a little bit damaged. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to go away and rest. This is the part of the Orcish mines where the enemies are going to start coming out in droves, and you can easily get overwhelmed if you forget where the escape is, where the steps are. And so I'm just going to go back and rest on the stairs. Make sure my 6 is covered, you know what I mean, and I have a clean getaway. Because at this point, now we're getting to the point where every character, if you are lucky enough and things are working your way to make it that far, your character will get to the point where you have such good equipment and survivability that now it's your run to lose. And I think that this Arbalest is that for us. Like, we have an endgame weapon that is extremely deadly. And so if we're going to lose, it's our fault. So we need to just go nice and slow here. Well, I mean, there are certain provisos. Like, we could get cast into the abyss, or, you know, something awful could happen. But for the most part, like, we've been set up very well. And I'm going to hit this guy, and they all die. And I'm going to check my invocations. It's at 10. And I'll just show you. I'm going to use my abilities. You'll see that Duel has dropped down to 17% fail. Finesse at 1. And I'm okay with invocations. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to focus everything I've got at the moment on ranged weapons. We're just going all in, because if I look at my air ballist, you'll see that 18 is the skill that we need to remove the min delay, and we're actually getting there. We can then twist out, level up dodging, armor, get some more survivability stuff, fighting again, but I'm saving fighting for the manual if we get it. But I really am thinking about the plate mail, artifact plate mail, instead of buying the manual at this point. Just because it could be terrible, but we only have +1 plate armor, and if we get some good brands on that plate mail, it could make all the difference in the world. More important than 5 extra hit points from fighting, which we'll get anyway. It'll just be a little bit slower. Dagger of Freezing, very nice. Against those cold-blooded foes. Alright, just shoot the warg. Yep, it's all coming together at this point. And I say that, and then I could die, you know, so easily, but we're still reasonably strong. Let's just not jinx ourselves. I'll tell you what, every time I get over my skis, get overconfident in this game, it will kill you. So let me just, you know, express cautious optimism about how our tides have turned. If you think about how bad we were doing previously and how close to death's door we were, what is this? So this amulet is hilarious. It gives us flight, which we're going to get anyway. We don't care. Resist electricity. Already got it. You know, there's also a regular set of plate armor and a pile of 10 coins, and all we'd have to do is fight this ghost. It's a journeyman troll who would destroy us. You know, the trolls do so much damage, and we'd be right up against them. Completely not worth it, but humorous. Alright, so we know that down here where the stone structures are is going to be the core nexus of orcs, with all the hard enemies spilling out, most probably. So what we want to do is just make sure that this top area is safe for us, and then just try and lure the remaining orcs out piecemeal. Alright, ooh, that's a bunch of priests. That's not ideal. Okay, so we'll just stand here and, yeah, you know, do stuff like that. And kill that guy. Alright. And I'm fine just standing here shooting. I'm not at full health, so let me back up and get there. Now, always remember, when you're in Orcish 2, you have to be wary of going up a staircase that you haven't identified, because what can happen is you can go into an Orcish 1 that you haven't been to yet. Like, there could be something here, or even down in this region, and the way that you can verify would be to say, yeah, look, there's only 2 staircases down, okay, and yet there's a 3rd staircase up right here. So we need to make sure we don't use that staircase unless we want to just clear that out for experience, which we very well might. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use heroism and just blast this guy. Honestly, I'll just walk away. He's so poisoned right now that, yeah, bam. Now we're starting to do 3 exclamation points with our bow shot, and it's just fantastic. You'll see with heroism, if I go to my air ballist, our damage rating goes up to 51, right? So it's outrageous. Our delay is 1.4, so it's quite good. I am too injured to fight recklessly. Yep. Because even though we're strong, smiting is cheesy. I mean, you know, it is what it is. It just goes through your armor. And so even an enemy like that who's gray, that orcish priest, can still hit you way harder than you want. How about a one shot on the orcish priest? Fantastic. And we want to make sure we hit this one. Okay, it's time to go. Yeah. So the shaman has buffed up this guy, and now there's a bunch of demons on the screen. And that's how quickly it all went down. We got smited. I mean, this is one of those situations where it's like, okay, we're weakened, which means our melee attacks do less damage. So that actually doesn't disrupt us too badly, but we're just in a really bad spot where we're kind of already hurt. And even if I were to do finesse right now, I'd have to fight through a lot of these. I could fight this guy in single combat. That would remove the Ice Devil and the Hellwing and the Orange Demon. But it would not remove the Priest, the Knoll, or the Buddha. But I have to say, I know this is a bad idea, but I want to try it. Just to see what it's like. Huh. Okay. So it's not ideal at all for us. And we win. So now I know what this is like in the future. So you come to this little area where there's like people watching the fight. These are spectators that we can't hit. And, you know, we win. And I guess the cool thing is we can rest. Oh no, we get kicked out. Never mind. You cannot rest. So wow. Okay. Let's use finesse. I mean, we did kill the priest, and that's good. I'm just gonna take this guy up the steps, but in all reality, this guy's buffed up. That's a bad idea for us most of the time, unless it's against a summoner, like in that exact circumstance, because it puts you point blank against the enemy and in a small confined space. So against a robe wearing caster, maybe that's worthwhile, but it doesn't give you a full chance to rest. I guess you could use heroism and finesse right before you got kicked out and not have to waste turns doing that. Maybe quaff potions or something like that. So it's not completely terrible, but it's much better if you're melee. And it makes sense, you know, because I'm range. So as a ranged character, all right, wow, got it. I don't need to worry as much as a melee character about somebody in the back row, potentially, because I can take them out faster. It's also good against, like, I suppose, all right, a caster who is far away and you need to close that range really quickly, but even then, it's not ideal. Alright, so we're doing good work, though. This is what makes the Orcish Mines too hard, or all of those high priests. And, you know, there could be warlords and other really annoying guys. And yep, I mean, you get in spots like this where there's just a million priests on the screen, and they can all smite you. Yep. So here we go. Trying to not get smited before we kill the guys. There we go. Alright. So, I'm just going to run because I need to. Need to rest. And there's another priest. I mean, think about how many priests we've just seen. Now, Okuwaru will now start gifting us equipment. potentially. But we haven't found any yet. Just checking to make sure I didn't miss something. Ah, okay. There's this guy doing his thing. Alright. It's honestly, like, if it's just one or two at a time, it's not bad. But what you'll find that's so hard about a place like this is that it's packed with enemies, and so you have to clear out, like, every tile. Now, at this point, luckily, I will say this about using the dual ability. It saved me a blink scroll. I was pretty close to pulling the trigger on my last blink, but what you'll notice with this character is that we don't have any teleport and we only have one blink. So we need to start really, really restocking all of our escape methods. So the potion of haste is fantastic. Heal wounds is great. I'll put all of these on the list. Curing as well, just to know about these in the future. And here's a scroll of teleportation and a wand of ice blast and scrolls of identification and enchant armor. There's so much good stuff here. Now, if we buy the artifact plate, we aren't going to be enchanting our body armor, but that's okay. We can enchant some of our other slots. You'll see we have a +0 cloak, for example, that could very easily take an enchantment. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to put a bunch of things on the shopping list. By the way, just to do that, all you have to do is push Shift, and then whatever letter corresponds to the item, you can put those on the list. I don't buy stuff at this point in the Orcish Mines until I've seen all the shops, just so I make sure that I have enough money for something that I really, really want if it's later on. And we're just going to kind of clear out the remaining fools with our insane weapon. And I think it is probably worth our while to just walk over here and make sure there's nobody on the outside. Yep, there's a priest. You know, stuff like that can just hit you way more than you want. There's a little bit of money there. It's great. And I'll start auto-exploring, actually. Vampiric longsword. Amusing. It's a troll. So we'll just shoot him. And, God, we obliterated him. Wow, look at this little pocket of jerks. Alright, we're going to step over here. And I'm actually just going to finesse. Like, I'm not even going to mess around. I don't have any... There's not a cause to do that. It's not a dire situation, but I couldn't quite tell if there, you know, there could be more enemies that just pile on, as has been the case. So there's a battle axe and a war axe that are artifact, which is like super awesome if you're melee, but we aren't. So we're good with what we have. There's another bookshop and a potion shop. They are going to be selling haste, much more expensive here. Heal wounds. So many of these potions we're just going to put on the list, even if it's too expensive. But I just want to have all of that marked. Okay. So there are some spell books. And maybe there's a shop here, maybe not. Nah, just an altar. Okay, so we have found all of the shops. And we'll just blast that guy. And that's good enough. Okay, so at this point... oh, I didn't even see these guys. No, don't attack. I'm just like walking around. There we go. No, I don't want to go there. Okay, fine. So at this point, let's see, how much money do we have? We have 470. All right. So one thing I will do is just see what's up here. Now I'm going to actually use heroism because in my experience, yeah, look at this. These other zones are so bad. he buffed everybody up too. All right, so we have to finesse, and we have to kill the priest first of all, then the mage, and then this guy. And you see how much damage we took just by them being hasted. We went up the steps rather, and I had heroism on, and we still were in a terrible spot. That's why I used heroism preemptively, and why I told you don't go up the steps in Orcish 2 if you can't account for all of the staircases, because in my experience, the unexplored sections of Orc 1 are diabolical. Sometimes they're empty, but very often they have really, really hard stuff in there. And the only reason I would go there is because there's a lot of money lying around. Now, if I bought those digging ones, you know, we could, like, tunnel up there and maybe make it easier on ourselves, but I don't believe that I will be exploring that right now. There's just too much happening. There's a warlord, there's buffing. I don't like what I'm seeing up there, so unless I get the means to dig up there, I'm just going to leave that alone. And I think what we want to do is probably just head over to the lair, and we should be able to do enough against Hydras now with the new bow, with heroism, with finesse, to work through even the more difficult ones and be stout enough to take a hit or two close up and make it happen. Try to earn enough money to check out that artifact plate mail unless we find something better. Who knows, there might be some insane gold dragon scales or crystal plate lying around, although that would slow us in our attacking pretty considerably. Alright everyone, I think this is a great place to end the episode. I hope you're finding this to be informative, helpful, and entertaining. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.